I guess from the top, right? I'd like to apologize in advance as this episode is not scripted that much. And if I give a couple of ums and ahs and pauses, I sincerely apologize. But I think this episode is far too important not to maybe talk about, or maybe, and I know that this particular information is very time sensitive. So basically, what happened is that equity markets all around the world, right, or equity markets in major parts of the world actually had a sell-off, right? And part of the reasons why is that we could see just a couple of days ago some geopolitical tensions has escalated over in the Middle East, and should it actually go, I guess, if the tensions keep on escalating, it could be quite, I guess, for the overall global economy, it could be quite interesting times, right? Right now, we can see more and more countries also involved, and that is quite scary, right? That's the first thing that happened. Second thing that happened is that in Japan, there was some economic data coming out over in Japan, and also we can see that the market actually dropped for the Nikkei, right? And overall, there is fear in the market, and when there's fear in the market, then there will be people wondering what to do, right? And more likely than not, there's this particular I guess it's a human instinct, right? When things get really scary, we just want to just walk away, or maybe look away from the danger. And in this case, we may maybe force sell, right? Or we may panic sell. And should we panic sell, what will happen is that, if we buy a stock for maybe $2, right? And if we sell it for $1.50, we will realize losses, right, on our investments, right? So I think a couple of things I like to say, right, over here. Number one, if you have been following me months ago, right, I've already talked a little bit about how I'm actually more inclined towards the Malaysian market or the local markets, right? The whole when compared to the US, right? And I knew at that point in time I was going against the grain, right? If you notice a lot of, I guess, bigger YouTubers, right? They were more inclined to maybe introduce, I guess, investment platforms and also products which enable, people to have access to the US markets. Me, on the other hand, I felt like I wasn't so comfortable, right? And the reasons why, just to recap, right, the reasons is, number one, over in the US, there is, I guess, the elections happening, right? And quite honestly, right, even the elections over there has been very, very, very interesting, right? Very interesting. It looks like it came out straight from a movie, like the events and whatnot. Wow, there's so many surprises which are happening over in the election, right? And if there are surprises, basically investors, they prefer, they don't like so many surprises. And if there's surprises, then markets get jittery and they get panicky, and then after that, when they get panicky, then again there could be forced selling, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing about the United States was that they are involved in a couple of events, which we can see tensions are rising in those events, right? Over in Europe and also over in the Middle East, right? So if any of these events actually escalates, right, then it will maybe affect the economy, and then once it affect the economy, then it will affect the capital markets, right? So I was of the opinion that I prefer actually investing, I guess, away from that particular market, and I was more inclined towards investing in the Malaysian market, right? And at that point in time, if you guys could recall, my theme of my investments, right, is actually safe stocks, which actually focuses in sustainable earnings, and on top of that, they give good growth numbers. You notice that a lot of the stocks that I actually looked at was food and beverage, and also stocks which are poised for growth, right? And with that, some of these stocks actually rose by triple digits, right? About 100 or 100 odd percent, right? So, yeah. So just to recap, that was what I said. Moving forth, right? This is what I would be looking towards, right? Number one, I will continue to stay, I guess, in Malaysia, right? That's the first thing. And like I said, we have home court advantage. Or if any of you guys are actually watching from any parts of the world, right? You guys actually have home court advantage for your particular markets, right? So, what I always, I guess, talk about over and over again, right? When we walk around, we have to look around and see what industries and what businesses are doing well. And if we see a particular business which is doing relatively well, right? We as a business owner would also, I guess, benefit from this, right? And the business will get more valuable, right? And that's one of the reasons why, I guess, we buy a stock or we buy a share in that particular business, right? Always remember that. So that's the first thing, right? The second thing I would want to say is that right now, please refrain from panic selling, right? The worst thing you can do is actually to panic sell, right? Just get really nervous, right? Lo and behold, yes, there is a market meltdowns, right? And also, I know the first reaction, right, if something is scary, is run away, right? But that being said, always remember, right, if you invest in a stock, you're basically investing in a business, right? And if you think the business will do well despite the ups and downs of the economy, then maybe continue staying in that particular stock, right? Let me give you an example, right? If there is a major meltdown in US and also Japan, right? If there's a major sell off, right? And if I'm an investor for a company that which sell poultry products, or they sell chicken, right? And I know that Malaysians consume chicken quite regularly, right? I know that the earnings will still be intact, and I know that the business will still be intact. Should the stock price goes down for stocks like these, right? I would, for me at least, right? For me, I would look towards maybe increasing my stake in those companies, basically, right? So always remember this, right? Know that when you invest, you are investing in the business, right? So despite the fluctuations of what's happening in the markets, right? Always ask yourself whether the business would still be profitable. And if the business is still profitable, or if the profit of the business will continue to increase, right? Maybe consider increasing your stake, basically, right? And one of the things which I'm currently looking at, I've already talked to a couple of my students, right, is maybe look towards buying, gold, right? The whole thing of it all, every time when there is market volatility, when there is fear, when economic data is not doing so well, right? One of the assets or asset class which actually tends to appreciate is gold, right? So this afternoon, I was actually trying to find gold ETFs, right? But over in Malaysia, I'm still trying to find, but it's relatively hard to find a gold ETF. I'm not going to buy any gold bars. I'm not going to go to a bank to actually buy some gold deposits, right? So at this point in time, I'm actually looking at certain financial institutions to see whether I can actually do a deposit, which actually is backed by gold, right? So if there's any geopolitical risk, or if there's any uncertainties, or if there's any negative data which is going to come out, right, I have a strong suspicion gold prices will go up. And I guess to conclude this particular episode, right, I'm going to say a couple of things, right? Number one, uh, things are very very scary at this point in time, right? And when there's major sell down, right, people are going to get very nervous, right? They're going to get very jittery and scared, right? And honestly, when things are scary, right, the first instinct is to just run away, right? And that's hence panic selling, right? So that being said, always remember that when you buy a stock, you're buying a share, right? And remember this: if you are buying a share, ask yourself whether the company is stable and can grow. If the company can grow, you may want to consider actually having a stake in that particular company, right? That's the first thing. Second thing I want to, remind everyone lah, right, is this lah, right? Yeah, I think things may be very interesting. You don't want to take, okay, in the US, right? Part of the reasons why I'm not looking so much at the US is that it's so many moving parts over there, right? And if there's too many moving parts, and I feel that it's more riskier, or it's a riskier market, right? And for the amount of reward versus risk I'm taking, right, I feel it doesn't commensurate. So I'm actually looking towards local markets, right? That's the second thing I'm saying. The third thing I'm saying is, one of the assets I'm currently looking at is gold. So, yeah, I'm actually trying to look out for gold assets right now. So I'm doing my little research at this point in time, right? And I think the fourth thing I want to just conclude, right? Last week, right, I was saying that I'm actually looking at e-invoicing players, right? We can see a fair bit of these e-invoicing players actually went up, right? And then after they went up, then after that it came down, right? So I'm actually doing my homework on e-invoicing players at this point in time. To be very honest, I don't understand the sector at all. So I'm actually quite nervous to actually even talk about these stocks. If I'm too nervous, I just don't talk about it, right? And I don't want to give you guys informate things, or I don't want to talk about things which I'm not sure of, right? So I mean, but that being said, if the government actually implements e-invoicing, I think a lot of these players may benefit, lah, right? So I think all in all, just to wrap it up, right? My 500 ringgit challenge is going to be next week, right? It's just one more week, right? And I think in this episode I already told you a clue on what asset classes I'm going to buy, right? Which is basically gold lah, basically, right? At this point in time. And another thing I'm going to look at this point in time are e-invoicing players also, right? In the 500 ringgit challenge lah, right? So those are the two things I'm looking at this point in time. And the third thing, I guess stocks or sector I'm looking at are also the egg players, right? Eggs, right? The whole thing of it all is that after the government announced a small little discount on egg, what happened was some of these egg players actually, we could see their stocks actually drop in terms of their price. So I think I will get it while the stock price is actually dropping. I suspect that maybe egg prices may adjust upwards in the coming, I guess, months ahead, right? Again, I'm not sure. But these are the three sectors I'm looking at, right? So when I'm going to create that episode of investing 500 ringgit, right, I will talk a little bit about that. I think all in all, what I'm trying to say, don't panic sell, right? Don't panic sell. And number two, ask yourself if the company that you are investing in, is it a good company, right? Is it a solid company, right? And ask yourself this question, right? If you are a business owner, would you want to be a business owner in that particular company, right? Given the economic situation at this point in time. If the answer is yes, you would like to be a business owner, and if your answer is yes, the earnings for these companies will still be intact, then maybe look towards increasing your stake in these businesses, or maybe wait until the stock price actually drops quite significantly, and then you can enter the stock at a much cheaper entry level, right? With that, Just see any questions. Okay, I know this is a very sudden impromptu episode, right? And yeah, I didn't I lightly scripted this episode, so yeah, I do apologize if I'm repeating, right? I felt like I think I talked about the same idea maybe twice or three times already, but yeah, I just felt that it's too important not to talk about, and I just wanted to see you guys and just tell you guys on my thoughts on what's happening and also what I will be doing personally. Right. With that, take care, and hopefully you guys would benefit from this particular episode. Right. Take care, guys. Bye.